video out. And we are recording. Hey everybody, I am Debo, and you know, I play Witch Doctor and all that good stuff. I've been covering a lot of stuff, been going for the 2.3 patch PTR, or patch 2.3 for the PTR. Gonna bring a build today. It's the new Hell 2 free work. I gotta warn you, it still has a long way to go. I think if Blizzard basically tweaks the damage and does some smart things, we shouldn't have too many problems. But really quickly, to see the new rundown for the set, for the 2-piece bonus, enemies hit by Wall of Death, which used to be Wall of Zombies, are afflicted by necrosis, becoming slowed and taking 2500% weapon damage every 10 seconds for 10 seconds, which is pretty solid. After applying necrosis to enemy, you take 50% reduced damage for 10 seconds, which is also good. That gives us survivability, so far it's pretty good. On point. Enemies afflicted by necrosis takes an 800% increased damage from primary skills: Acid Cloud, Fire Bat, Zombie Charger, Grasp of the Dead, Piranhas, and Wall of Death. The most effective ones I found has probably been Fire Bats and Zombie Charger. Grasp of Dead is pretty okay, but even then Pylon, which is part of Zombie Charger, would be a lot better. So basically the idea is to keep up Zombie Wall to give yourself damage mitigation, put the necrosis on the enemy, and then hit them with one of your attacks that will do a lot of damage. That's the basic theme of it. I think they just need to tweak the numbers and make the 800% a lot higher. Increased damage could do a lot of good things and potentially make the build better. I managed to get like a 2.6 billion crit on a Pylon when I actually was using it with Convention of Elements, Pylon, and then a two-handed weapon. You could probably hybrid this in with some type of pets. The most amount of pets I get is because of the Belt of Transcendence. The reason I would tell you not to blend it too much with pets and try to blend too many different things like that is because if you were to do that, at the end of the day, I don't think it would be worth it, because you're better off just running a Zuni Massive Pet build or just running a Carnival build. So pretty much what this set I'm working with is 45% crit rate, 424% critical damage. I got the Furnace, which gives me 50% more elite damage. Ring of Royal Grandeur, which reduces the set bonuses by 1, so I don't have to worry about wearing that ring. Also have a Mask of Drawn to increase the pet damage by 100%, since the Belt of Transcendence is going to go ahead and offer a little bit of... it's going to make the fetishes that are going to offer the... they're going to help tank for us, and then also provide us a... what's the word I'm looking for? A consistent form of damage. So when we're going against enemies and maybe have a little bit downtime between skills, the fetishes can keep delivering their damage. Keeping it very simple, I'm using Facious Toxin Gem. I'm also using Convention. I'm using Bane of the Trap, and I'm also using Bane of the Powerful. Probably gonna switch out Bane of the Powerful for maybe the Pet Gem to increase the damage of that. That might be okay. For the most part, on the shoulders for the Helltooth, I got increased damage to the Wall of Death on the chest and the shoulders. I got cooldown reduction and critical percent chance critical damage. Pretty straightforward stuff here. And since I don't have to worry about using the Ring of Royal Grandeur, I dropped that for a Poison Sage. And of course I'm using Convention of Elements. I got the Wormwood that will all cast a Locust Swarm and also increases poison damage, so that's a pretty solid piece. And I also have a Countess Julia's cameo. Makes me immune to Arcane, but you can really use anything for necklaces if you want. And then also Drom's Bracers, I have them roll the poison property in Vitality crit chance. Wall of Death can be now cast up to twice within 2 seconds before the cooldown begins. So basically what that means is I can cast the first Wall of Death, the second Wall of Death, and the third Wall of Death, all in succession like that. Now I gotta look more into it. I don't think all these different Wall of Deaths damage stack, so if you cast, all the same Wall of Deaths in the same circle, it doesn't seem to do additional damage. However, for the cold version of it, if you actually use the skill Communing with the Spirits, it kind of seems to have that effect. With the Poison Ring, you're pretty much better off using Fire Bats with the Poison setting, which is the Plague of Bats, or using with the Zombie Charger. Cold, I would recommend using it with either, believe it or not, Grasp for the Dead or the Acid Cloud one. And then, of course, if you're rolling physical, the best one is, well, Surrounded by Death is okay. I kind of prefer more wall zombies, but Surrounded by Death is pretty legit in combination with using the Grasp of the Dead, or you can use Zombie Charger Pylon. In this situation, I'm using Poison Spirit for the damage increase. I'm using Fire Bats because that's something I can instantly start using once my Convention of Elements switches right to physical. From physical to poison. Spirit Walk for survivability. Piranha's a Paranato for extra CC and what have you not, and Hex with Jinx because they buffed this. They made it so that you wherever you cast it now, the Hex it will appear, and then it also extended its radius to Hex to targets, and it also increased it from I do believe it was 15 or 20% before, actually 20% before I believe with Jinx. Now it's up to 30%, so that got a damage boost. We're using the Ring of Poison because I mean that just makes the most sense, right? Because that's the only we're using poison property. We want to use a Poison Wall of Death. And for the passes, Pierce of Elf for more damage, Gruesome Feast for the extra damage bonus when you pick up the spears or the health globes. We're using Rust of Essence, so every time I spam Haunt, by the time when I start channeling Fire Bats, I don't have to worry about anything like that. And then of course Spirit Vessel for survivability. We'll go ahead and take it in the Greater Rift level 40. 45, I've done it before, but it's a little awkward. It's not the best thing. It doesn't do as much damage as you want. Like, for the most part, you can do 45 fairly easy with this build, but that's really incomparable to what people are doing with the other builds and stuff like that. So, I mean, I guess we'll pretty much have to wait and see in how it goes. And it looks like I'll be joined with this one. I like to show it more in the solo capabilities, but I guess I'll be joined with in this run because I don't know. We'll see. Looks like we'll be joined with 2 people. I kind of have to do it with the group set of people because PTRs are pretty terrible right now. It's 24-hour queues to go up in a tournament level 10 all the way down to a tournament level even 5 or 6. Oh, it looks like I'm solo in here. Oh no, there's somebody else in here. So for the most part, you can just throw down your multiple zombie walls, and they do pretty good damage. It could be a lot better, and then basically you follow up with the fire bats once they get hit by it. Keeping it up is very important and does pretty good damage, and the damage could be a lot better, and it's not saying a lot at level or Greater Rift level 40 that it does okay. Like I said, it doesn't have too many troubles up to 45. The damage is really not that spectacular. I kind of like the idea of what they did with it and how they try to took the direction of the Hell 2 set, but it's just, I'm kind of shocked that no one at Blizzard kind of play tested this because, truth be told, you should know kind of that this damage is really low in comparison to what you can do, and that they could have really done a better job of what's going on. I mean, like, monks right now are kind of clearing level 70, which is pretty crazy, so I don't see what's the harm in buffing the Witch Doctor damage really high. They nerfed the Perma Fear set, so now we can't permanently fear anymore using the Ticklet and Massage anymore because it's nerf. They nerf all kind of crowd control, so they made it so that whenever you hit enemy, at least to my knowledge, they gain like more resistance to crowd control effects, and the longer it goes on, the harsher it gets to the point where they're not going to be CC'd anymore. So pretty much Blizzard has took it out the possibilities for any class to really get off and CC anything. And that's unfortunate, but it's not much you can do. And see, this is actually not looking too bad because the monk's here. So, I mean, if the monk wasn't here, we kind of would be still doing okay. But like I said, I'm at the graces of the actual PTR, which has been a hot mess because, like I said, you just cannot get a game at all without waiting 20 years and stuff like that. And I don't know, it's really odd to me that, I mean, the play style is pretty cool, but it feels so awkward to play it because, you know, I cast my zombie walls, that's good, and then I do my, you know, fire bats, which is okay, but the damage I do with the fire bats should be a lot more tremendous than this. And I mean, as you can see, it's just really not that great. And I don't know what went through Blizzard's head when they were creating this set. It probably would have been a lot easier if you just would have made all the different, like, little subtle different effects of, like, you know, the Hell 2 set where, like, after you cast the circle, the zombies come up and do damage and they're treated like creatures and they can be affected by Drom. That's one direction they could have took it. They could have just simply made the damage very high and like high-end hitting and stuff like that. But the thing that bothers me the most is just that I don't I don't. I just don't know how we got to this point where it seems like they're very afraid to buff anything. And I'm all for putting the damage high than reducing it. But it always seems when it comes to Witch Doctor or anything like that, there's really not much you can do. And also, the really weird thing is that unless you like this really build gets hurt really bad unless you have high mob density, you know. So I don't know. I guess I just have to wait and see how it's gonna go. You know, as you can see, that was okay damage right there. But like I said, I mostly think it's just the monk. I'm sorry. Like I said, I can't make solo videos right now because even the way of testing the PTR is really not going that great because Blizzard doesn't have enough servers and everybody's trying to commit to it. Mostly because the 2,000% drop rate is on the PTR. So what people do is they treat it like a private server. So, I mean, outside of all that, I mean, I hope they get it together with the Hell 2 set. I think if they just amped up the damage a little bit better, that'd be fantastic. I think the 4-piece set is fine. I think the 2-piece set is so-so. It just plays so weird to me. I don't know. If they're gonna play it like this, also one thing I hope they do is that it seems like only the cold zombie wall that you put down or the death wall you put down, that damage seems to actually stack upon itself, which is actually pretty cool, and it does pretty good damage. But it seems like for the poison one, if you stack 3 on the same point, it really doesn't matter. It doesn't make that big of a difference, and it just pretty much goes to the wayside. Now, we'll have to wait and see because it's still early in the PTR, and the developer has admitted that he knows that Helltooth is weak. But my biggest argument, if you knew it was weak, why even bother putting it out? Because it's kind of like a waste of time. I would rather just have you guys, instead of 800%, put it at like 2,500. And if the damage is too absurd and Witch Doctors are doing 75, 80, okay, then you need to reduce it to a point where it gets acceptable. But to try to fight onto the servers just to test to see how the viability of the Hell 2 set is, and it's very lackluster, was really disheartening to me. Like I said, I don't even think Zuni's set was as bad. Zuni was pretty interesting when it first came out, and it was doing pretty different, but then again, Zuni was based on a pet build, so like I said, we'll have to wait and see. But I mean, pretty much that's all pretty much what the build really comes down to. I could really show it a lot better if I was solo, but like I said, I can't really control that because when you're at the mercy of the PTR server, you just join in whatever game you can get so you can test what you got to test. But pretty much between the Grim Reaper auto-casting when you cast a haunt, tagging everything with increased damage, you can draw ahead and drop your 3 zombie walls. It does pretty good damage. And then of course with the Plague of Bats, especially if you're with your convention of elements, it does a lot of damage, and with all the extra lead damage, it does pretty well. And then now I'm just going to channel the Fire Bats. As you can see, the like I said, at killing the elites is actually pretty decent. I've seen it mostly hit up to like 500 million wads with convention of elements, otherwise 240, 250 ticks, 250 million ticks, which is always pretty good. And I mean, that's pretty much about it, man. So there's not much Blizzard can do other than just fix it and just increase the damage. Like somebody just said in the chat room, Carnival is destroying. I absolutely agree because Carnival is pushing level 60 beforehand, and with the new Kanai set items, it kind of just doesn't matter because it's just going to make it better. So basically what Carnival's rolling with now is they use a SMK or they use a Dagger of Darts, and they just make sure they have the opposite effect. So if you're using an SMK, you're going to equip the Dagger Darts. If you're using Dagger Darts, you're going to equip the SMK effect onto your character. Because you can go to the cube right here, and you can have 3 different weapon attributes equipped. So you'd have the SMK, you'd have Jerome for the 100% increased damage, and you have the Ring of Royal Grandeur, which frees open another ring slot, which allows Carnival to push really high levels. So at the end of the day, I think Carnival is always going to be good, and we don't have anything to worry about that. I think that set's going to be pretty good. As towards Helltooth, I see potential in Helltooth. I see what they wanted to do. But just in general, they just need to make it hit a lot harder. I mean, the whole point of Helltooth is just pretty simple. You cast a spell. That spell does pretty good damn damage, and then it puts a lot of debuffs on the target. And then you hit him with another spell that you have, and the other spell should finish off or just do big time damage on the target. I mean, that's the whole point of the whole set. That's the whole point of the build, I guess, the direction that they're going for. But the 4-piece set is cool. The 2-piece set is so-so, and the 6-piece set is fine if you buff the damage. So that's pretty much about it about the Helltooth. Like I said, all these time wasted waiting, and it's really, I guess it's semi-interesting. The only one I felt that was pretty cool that I actually enjoyed was where is that? Let's see if I can find it. Surround Wall. This one's pretty cool. Wait a minute. This one's pretty cool because you can have the 3 walls up, and I think that's a pretty cool spell. I'd like for them to have something like, as long as the enemy's inside it, they're taking damage. But in all honesty, in terms of if witch doctors in its current state are going to use it, no one's going to use this skill, and no one's going to use this build unless you're really early on in seasons and you luck out, and that's the only thing you get. Carnival is still going to dominate, and no one's going to use the set, so it's pretty much going to return to the same exact thing it was before. But like I said, I'm just talking about the current state of it. I'm not talking about if they develop in the future. So if they buff it and they plan on buffing it, which I heard they already said they are, then it might have the potential to be something great. But at the current state it is, no one's going to use it, and no one's going to waste time with it. But other than that, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Just wanted to make a quick talk about the skill because a lot of people were wondering about it, and this will be up on YouTube, so it's going to be more videos coming out. But just in general, it was just pretty lackluster. Hopefully they improve it in the future. I'm Debo, and I'm out.